All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan, Marcus, Kelvin joining us. We have Miss Sabrina Thompson joining us on the show. How you doing,
What's up,
man? How
champ?
you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you all?
Doing
Exactly.
wonderful. Feeling
Well,
like champions.
feeling like
Good,
champions.
good.
All right. So, Sabrina, or if I may call you Sabrina.
Of course you may.
Okay, thank you. So you are. Let's let people know a little bit about what you do and in the department that you are in, and what goes into making sure that FAMU is or that are these vendors out here are properly licensed with FAMU.
Okay. Of course. Again, my name is Sabrina Thompson, licensing director for Florida A&M University. I've been the licensing director on and off for about 11 years. And basically what I do is to try and protect the brand of the university. That's their intellectual property, their logos, their marks, their images, the words, and so forth.
All right. Hey, and I'm already got people asking. They like that T-shirt you got on, so you may have to go ahead and shout that out already. Tamara T's like, where can we
Look,
buy that one?
that's why I came prepared with my licensed merchandise.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I actually purchased this from Sam's, and this is made by Logo Brand.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So I know, Sabrina, you do a lot of things. So she also is over the FAMU Junior Cheerleaders, which Little Rosa is a part of this year for the first time and everything. And it's a family affair for Sabrina because she's got her daughters working with her. I know we brought you on to talk about the licensing side, but why don't you just kind of talk about why you got involved with the junior cheerleaders and just how you can be a part of that?
Well, the FAMU Junior Cheerleaders basically it was founded by the late Nancy C. Henderson, and I was working with Nancy at the time that she passed away. And when she passed, there were a lot of alums that didn't want to see the FAMU Junior Cheerleaders go away. So people kept coming to me, can you just take it over? Can you take it over? I finally gave in, one, because both of my daughters who are grown now with their own children, were both a part of the FAMU Junior Cheerleader Squad. And basically, it's something that I love doing. I have a passion for doing it with the girls. I have fun with the girls. There's a time to have fun. There's a time to get serious. So it's just something that I love doing. It's just a way of giving back to the community, and I just love it.
Yeah, and fans love it too, and of course, us parents and the girls have a wonderful experience. So, and it don't just be football. We there's some expansion into some other activities also. But I'll go back to the licensing part of it. So my question is, what kind of things do you do on game day when there's large events and there's a lot of folks coming to try to set up and so forth? What kind of things between the university, collegiate licensing, and whoever else is involved to ensure that that only licensed vendors are present and selling official merchandise?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because even though the university is actually on winter break, as of today, I was actually checking a vendor that is actually selling the championship shirts. So that the job never ends. Even though the university is closed, it's continuous. We have vendors that are actually requesting for approval of their merchandise for the championship shirts. On the game days, I actually go out from one vendor. Well, I actually go out on the Friday before each game. I check vendors then as they're setting up to make sure that those vendors that are actually setting up are licensed vendor through the collegiate licensing company for Florida A&M University. I then again go back on game day with the same thing, checking each vendor because we have some vendors that are late setting up. Now, if these vendors are not licensed, then possibly a lot of times I have the police department with me to assist with those vendors that are not licensed. If those vendors are not licensed, then we actually ask them to cease and desist and ask them to leave the premises until they become licensed. And vendors, those that are wishing to sell the intellectual merchandise using the intellectual property of the university, they can become licensed through the collegiate licensing company by going to clc.com and completing the online application.
Okay.
So I want to clarify. So everybody on game day, is that, to the best of your knowledge, that you know, they're all licensed vendors. Because I think a lot of times people have run with this theory that everybody selling around Bragg Stadium is just running wild doing their own thing. But I just want to, you said that, and I'm like, hey, let's emphasize that and shut that myth down, that everybody who's out there is licensed, and if they're not, you got the police rolling with you.
And that is absolutely correct. The merchandise for those licensed vendors, they have to submit that merchandise prior to producing it for approval. So anything that those vendors have, they have to submit it for approval through the CLC portal. So I see everything that comes through for those licensed vendors. So during game day, I can almost recognize everything that I have approved. Not only that, they also have to have a little a code, if you will, that is placed on all merchandise for licensed vendors. So anything that these vendors have, like I said, I can almost recognize everything that I have approved. There are those vendors now that do try and get by and say, well, hey, I did not know, which some cases it may be true. And then there are those that are, just trying to go against the grain and trying to do it their way.
And eventually, it sounds like eventually they will get caught. If you didn't get caught today, you eventually gonna get caught. It sounds like.
And not just eventually. There are times where, just like the past couple of games, I have actually gone through. I've warned a vendor or vendors and said, "Hey, this is not licensed. Can you take it down?" Okay, they agreed to take it down. I said, "Now, if I come back, I'm coming back with the police. And you're going to have to either we can confiscate it or you can take it down and leave the premises until you become licensed." So I have had that time where I've actually gone back to a vendor and they have actually put that unlicensed merchandise back up and we have had to take it down. We've also confiscated merchandise.
The chat room is, Marcus, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get you in here, and it's like the chat room's buzzing because they want to know about Perry Street.
Bryan, part of my question involves all of that from Kenya.
Okay, well, I'll get out of the way. I'll get out of the way.
Yeah. Just
go ahead.
Ms. Thompson, thank you for coming on. And this has been a subject that's been, and Kelvin can tell you, from back in the pit, which is our little private forum that we've been on for like 15, 20 years. This is one of my things about cracking down on licensing. Can you re-emphasize to our audience the importance of buying licensed material? The second part of that, and I've noticed it since Saturday, coming back from the game, what I call like the bootleg and juke joint stuff, even some of the images. And I've seen, I don't know, I guess they're bots on Twitter or whatever, the images from the game or even some of the graphics that Josh has put out. I've seen these bot websites grab those images, slap them on a t-shirt and trying to market it as official FAMU gear or buy a t-shirt. So how do we stop I don't know how I want to phrase it, but how do we attack that in conjunction with emphasizing to folks? And we FAMU folks like to be creative and be unique and just come up with stuff, stem the tide of us being so creative such that it undermines the money coming back to FAMU and not going to these bot websites and all these other things. So it's kind of a combination, but I guess primarily is emphasizing the importance of making sure we're buying licensed material.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that because all proceeds, all royalties received from the sale of merchandise from licensed vendors. Right now, we receive 12%. We're getting ready to increase that to approximately 15%. And all those royalties, the funds received from royalties, they go towards assistance with providing scholarship for students in athletics. So it's very important for people to buy licensed merchandise.
Okay, and I guess to follow up in terms of, is there any way to stop like the bots or anything from just grabbing stuff? I know we put it out there, and I do have a second question. I don't want to monopolize it from Kelvin, but I need to ask this second question after Kelvin asks his. But it's kind of like people want to buy, especially now with the frenzies going on, and we knew with everything that transpired within the SWAC and the offseason in terms of coaching changes that FAMU was going to be the spotlight. So it became even more important and critical that clamps are down on those type things. I'll come back and ask my second question after Kelvin asks his.
No. Let her answer that. But no,
Okay.
I know a lot of this, and I can talk to her anytime. So have at it.
Okay. Well, currently I am working with this collegiate licensing company. We're trying to come up with a system that they actually already have in place. So I'm working with athletics to see if the university can take part in this, whereas this system will go on all social media avenues and find anything using the university's logos and shut it down. And I am very excited about that. I'm anxious to get started with that because right now my job with hitting social media, I really have a hard time hitting everything. But believe it or not, we have those good old faithful alums, friends, supporters that will call me, email me, say, hey, I see a vendor on Adam Street. Is that vendor licensed? So I get that all the time, and I appreciate that because I cannot see everything. And trying to shut down social media, as soon as I get one social media outlet shut down, another one pops up. I work with the general counsel's office, David Self. He is great. He helps me out as well with sending out cease and desist letters. So we are really working hard trying to get all of this under control.
Okay. And my second question, and this is kind of harking back to my days from 15, 20 years ago when I had Photoshop. You know, I consider myself somewhat of a creator, at least back then. I know there's people who run circles around me now in Photoshop. But if I wanted to not necessarily create a product like a t-shirt, because I don't want to deal with all the manufacturing and all that stuff. But if I have an idea or creative idea for, I guess, not a logo design per se, but like a commemorative patch or something that I would like the university to approve for someone else to put on merchandise or something. Does that, I know it kind of throws a wrench in the process, but does it still work the same way?
Okay, now when you say produce it for someone, create it for someone else to use.
Yes, like say, like my former side hustle, whatever you want to call it, was creating logos and stuff for small businesses. And there are a couple little designs I have on a hard drive somewhere, some FAMU stuff, but I knew it wasn't licensed, so I was like, I'll just keep it on the side. But if I wanted to say, hey, Coach Simmons, how about a commemorative patch to go on the helmet with like a little rattler and something symbolic? But so I wouldn't necessarily put it in a product, but it would be something intellectual property that I created with the university's marks for the university to use at their leisure, or if it were to be accepted as a university mark that some other vendor could put it on a t-shirt.
Okay, that that will still have to go through for approval. It may not, because you're not trying to become a licensed vendor. However, you're just trying to, I won't say become a partner with the university, but you just want to create something for the university that they may possibly use. You would still have to get that approved. We would go through again with licensing. We'd also go through the Office of Communications, which also assists with creating the logos particularly for the university. So a lot of the logos that you see for the university and for different events, those are created by the Office of Communications. So we would go through the Office of Communications, the legal office, athletics, and of course the licensing.
Okay. So you would still have to go through the licensing and the licensing fee in order to submit it as a potential design?
You're not you in particular, since you're trying to submit it to someone else to possibly use. Like you said, you're trying to produce it for athletics. And if athletics likes it, then they could potentially use it on helmets, a jacket, or what have you. It was still not necessarily you would have to go through CLC, because basically what you're trying to do basically is to become a partner with athletics. But we still have to give approval of whatever that logo is. You're not necessarily, you would have to go through CLC because you're not trying to sell it.
Yes. So then say if, I don't know, if the design was just the bomb and some large firm or mid-sized firm said, okay, I want to use this created design for that, then they would have to, if they weren't already licensed, they would have to go through CLC to license to use it, because you've now adopted as an option for official logos on some other stuff.
Right.
Okay. That clarifies. All right. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, we're working on something now with someone wanting to do the same thing.
Okay.
So, Sabrina, where you mentioned people contacting you when they find questionable items, how can they do that? How, if they, I mean, I don't know if is there an email address, a text line? How can people reach out to you or your department when they have a question or they find something that's like, hey, I don't know if this is something that I should buy?
And I would love that. And they can reach me at via email at sabrina.thompson@famu.edu. Or you can reach me in the office at area code 850-412-5375. And sometimes I'm on social media and I see a lot of information or objects or product that's on social media, especially on the alumni page. And I will comment to that and tell them, how they can contact me with any questions about that.
Okay.
Ms. Thompson, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kelvin.
No, I was just going to tell Bryan, I put a link to the website in the private chat.
Okay.
So that they can look up some of that information from the university website too.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. I'm going to post that in the chats. Okay.
Okay. And they can also go to clc.com.
Ms. Thompson, I had a quick question for you, and it just came in my mind. A lot of high school athletes or even transfer athletes may use the school's logos that they find on the web as a part of their announcement for, say, they want to come to FAMU, and you'll see the snake head and all this other stuff, and sometimes the word mark. How does that fall into the area of responsibility that you have? They're not necessarily selling anything, but it still could border on appropriate or inappropriate usage of the intellectual property of the university. And I don't know how all schools do it, how they handle it, whether they let it go because it's kids being kids, or if they send a cease and desist, or like, hey, you're kind of on the edge there, don't be using our stuff inappropriately. And how does that work for, say, recruits and some of these graphic designers that have become like a little niche market of creating the announcements on social media for these student athletes?
Okay. Well, for the most part, for a lot of the recruits, a lot of times our actual staff is somewhere involved with those students that are being recruited to FAMU. So we do allow, how can I say this? If they're saying, hey, I just got admitted to FAMU, I'm going to be on the FAMU football team, I'm going to be a part of the Rattlers, something like that, we usually let that go because it's not basically intended for sale.
Okay.
That makes sense. How long? Okay, so, and I put that link out there. How large of a staff or department do you have that works with you, Sabrina?
You
Oh,
looking at her.
That smile, yeah, that smile said, "I am the staff."
okay.
Now, question: are there any folks in the graphic in the School of Journalism, Media, and Graphic Arts that are interested in the legal side that could perhaps intern with you to lend support?
I actually have not spoken with anyone in the School of Journalism. We do, the Office of Communications actually has a graphic designer that we kind of work together on different things. So, but it's specifically the School of Journalism and students, no, sir.
Oh, well, not necessarily on the design aspect, but if
Hmm.
they wanted to get in the legal aspect, like license management, and partner with you to say, look out for things, and perhaps someone of that younger demographic, which I'm not a part of, could monitor the social media and be some eyes and ears and have some tricks of the trade that might aid in policing uh, ill illegal usage.
That would be great. But for the most part, a lot of those offenders are students themselves.
It be your own. It be
Yeah.
your own. What's that? Is that it be your own people, right?
Yes. So, I mean, that would be great.
Mhm.
Just for someone to kind of follow me to see how it works and learn the correct ways to produce merchandise
Mhm.
and
And
how to become licensed.
Jimmy Max kind of speaking on that. He's talking about getting criminal justice students, perhaps as well. I
Hmm.
mean, that was kind of along the lines of, and I don't know
Okay.
if they're more involved wanting to be FBI agents versus something that would someone who'd be more akin to licensure and U.S. Patent Office type stuff. But you never know. Just see if it sticks.
Okay.
So thank you for answering all my questions.
Yes, sir. You are welcome.
Sabrina, I wanna wrap it up with I know if that site for all of you who have put the site in the chat, there's a great listing of not only Tallahassee area vendors. There's also some web links of FAMU gear where you can be purchased. What about and just has there been or where can we find this Celebration Bowl or national champs? Has anybody put together an aggregated list of vendors and shops that have submitted uh, ideas and designs that you have approved? Because I know that's the hunt right now. Everybody's hunting for gear, and so the hard part is you want to find something you want to see, but then you're balancing with the licensing, hey, making sure that's money going back. So, is there anything like that you can share? And if not, maybe is something that's being worked on that we can share at a later date.
Currently, I do not have a list because I do have quite a few vendors that have requested um, to produce championship shirts. However, uh, because of the way that those shirts and that merchandise is designed, I had to disapprove it because of the Cricket Celebration Bowls logo
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. And unless you are licensed with the Cricket Bowl, you cannot use their logo at all.
Okay.
That's the same thing with the swag. Unless you're licensed with swag, you cannot use their actual logo.
So what's the question? What's the question that if I'm bumping around, I see something online. What's the question that I should ask a vendor or a website to say to find out whether they are or are not licensed?
Are you a licensed vendor for FAMU?
Period. Period. That's
Is
that's
there
plain and
anything that,
simple.
like, now I know the CLC, like on, at least they used to, and I think they still do. They had their little seal, I guess, like a holographic seal that looked like a
Yes, the
college seal.
hologram tag.
They
Yes,
do.
it's a
How could
hologram
we,
tag.
for online purchases, I mean, if we can't touch and feel the product, how do we, to Brian's question, how can we do that online versus in the store?
Because what I can do is provide a list of vendors, period, that are actually licensed, but I can do that at a later date. I don't have them on hand, but I can produce a list of licensed vendors. Um, and you can use those vendors. For the most part, you can see online, some of them will actually say licensed by the Collegiate Licensing Company.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to see that. And a lot of them, if you ask anything about the collegiate license company, they don't even know what it is.
And if they don't get a reply,
That's a telltale
if you don't get a
sign,
reply, if you don't get a reply, that's a hint. They're telling you.
Yes, it's not
And also,
licensed.
I would add, you mentioned that little seal, Marcus. When you order your product, if it comes and you don't see that little sticker, hey, send it back. Send it back, because
Yes,
obviously at that point you bought it, and so. But if you were true about buying licensed official stuff, and you don't see that little sticker,
the
send it back.
hologram tag.
Send it
Yes,
back, because that I know for a fact that little hologram sticker, you got to go through hoops to get it. I know, but that they make you put that on every officially
yes, sir.
licensed merchandise. So that's
Yes,
something to
sir.
remember when you guys are ordering online, and when it comes in the mail and you don't see it, hey, put it right back in and send it back to them. Say, hey,
Yes,
you guys aren't licensed. Send it back.
and that's one of the things I also check for when I'm checking vendors as well, to make sure they have hologram tags. If you're not a licensed vendor, then you won't have any hologram tags.
Right. Sabrina, appreciate you coming on. This has
Yes,
been
thank
very
you.
Yes.
cool, very informative. Anytime you have some information that you want to share, obviously you know how to reach Kelvin, and we will put that out there. We will help you. We'll be your foot soldiers, or internet
Thank
foot
you.
soldiers. However you
Thank
want us to do it, we would love to help. Because we all, I think some of the great people that we have in the chat, I mean, we got people in there who they have great collections of gear, and they want to buy licensed stuff to make sure it comes back to FAMU. So there's a great marketplace out there, and we want to make sure everybody's doing right by our university.
Yes.
So anything we can do to help, please reach out and let us know in the future. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I really, really appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed.
And you done good. You done real good.
I was nervous.
Yeah, you were great. You were great. Sabrina.thompson@famu.edu. If you got any questions, that's the email address, sabrina.thompson@famu.edu. Reach out to Miss Sabrina and go from there. And again, that shirt that you see that she's wearing, she got it from where again, Sabrina?
Sam's.
That's Sam's. All right, boy. I got to come to Tallahassee. I can't get my Sam's in Orlando. I got to come to Tallahassee, Sam, to get the good stuff. I tell you what, man. Anyway, hey, thank you for joining us tonight, Sabrina. You have a good night.
And
All
you
right.
all too. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Appreciate you.